Okay, so first I'll explain the brand name Skai. We take inspiration from a blue sky on a sunny day. And my purpose in making the brand is to generate feelings for our consumers to be happy about life and worry-free. So on this page, I'll give a little bit of an overview. I've already introduced myself and Gabriel. But the first point I want to make is we are a direct-to-consumer brand, or D2C. And that means that we will primarily sell with e-commerce, such as Shopify, third-party platforms like Amazon, Rakuten, Tmall in China. Our focus for the brand is clean and sustainable beauty, which at the moment are two of the hottest trends for beauty brands around the world, not just Japan and China, but US, Europe, India, and so forth. Our plan for the brand is ambitious. We're going to try in the next 3 to 5 years to go to 10 or more markets with multiple product categories. And we've designed the brand to be very scalable and capital efficient. So we're starting in Japan as our first market, and we expect that China with cross-border e-commerce will be second. Our initial products include two. We're making hair care in Italy, and this will be marketed as natural, organic, vegan, and eco-friendly. And this is a very broad target. We're targeting women and men, young and old. And that would include families with children 3 and up. Our second product is our hair color, and this we're producing in Japan. And we have a value proposition which has 3 points. The first is to do salon quality at home. The second is to add in a kind of Olaplex type damage care. And the third is to simplify the color choice for consumers, which makes it easier for them and less stressful. And in this case, we're going to target women in the home color segment, women who are already dyeing their hair at home. Typically, they'd be 30, 40, 50 years old. We've done a lot to de-risk the brand before our launch. We've arranged world-class manufacturing, logistics, the e-commerce. We've produced enough inventory, which is fully paid, to last most of our first year of sales. So today I'm here to introduce the brand, and we're seeking a pre-seed round. The majority of that money, the use of funds, would be to cover advertising and promotion this next year. So for the first product is the hair care. Here, as I mentioned, the trend is for clean and sustainable beauty. The problem, though, is if you want to have something which is good to people and good to the environment, how do you do that without sacrificing performance? You still have to have the functional benefits. So what we did was we partnered with a group in Italy to make a shampoo and treatment, which are very multifunctional, very versatile for hair and body. Our partner has an organic farm, so we're using flax and mullein from their farm. The formulations are all plant-based, so we add in argan oil from Morocco, sweet almond oil, many other things. The treatment itself is up to 95% nature-derived. The farm is organic. They have followed the United Nations goals for sustainable development. We have vegan certification from Italy. And then the bottle and tube are made with sugarcane, which is very, it's a renewable resource and very eco-friendly. Here I'm showing you a picture of the shampoo and treatment. So the shampoo, as I mentioned, is multifunctional. So you can use it to wash your hair, to deep cleanse the scalp, or even as a body wash. And then the treatment, which is like a conditioner, it also has multiple uses. So you can condition the hair. You could leave it on for 3 to 5 minutes, like a hair mask. And you can also use it as a body conditioner. And the tube and the bottle are very tall and thin, which makes them very small for Japanese baths and showers. And they're also good for getting out the last drops because you can turn the bottle upside down. Our second product is hair color. And this is more of a kind of blue ocean opportunity between salons and home color. So about half the market in Japan goes to the salon, half does it at home. And it's changed a bit since COVID, but basically it's two main segments. And with the internet, we can go direct to the consumer. And the reason why we're starting in Japan is there's many favorable market characteristics. And in particular, women have a very high penetration. And this is held for about 40 years. So from 20s to 70, that's 75% of all women are dyeing their hair. For older guys like my age, it's probably more than 50%, and young men, 25. So again, it's a wonderful market for hair dye. But the problem you have if you're dyeing your hair, especially if you're doing it at home, is people love to go to the salon, get the benefit of the stylist, but that takes time and money. If you're doing it at home, the cheap boxes that you would find in the drugstore, the quality is very low. And everybody, whether it's salons or at home, are worried about damage and irritation. So our solution is three parts. So we do salon quality at home, and that means you get higher quality, higher shine than you would with the home brands, but it's at half the cost of going to the salon and stylist. The second part is we simplify the choice. And this is kind of an insider learning from the Asian market. Asian hair is different because there's one phenotype. It's black and coarse. So it's very different than, say, where you are in Europe, or I'm an American where you have black hair, brown hair, blonde hair, red hair. In Japan, it's black. And we know from the home market that 80–90% of the home sales come from black, dark brown, brown. So we've chosen three very deep natural brown colors to simplify the choice. And there's a hidden benefit for the company. It's a very capital efficient way to get high sales per SKU. And then the last part of our kind of USP is the Plex damage care. And this is an idea inspired by the Olaplex brand in the US. They're now 7–8 years old. They're one of the hottest brands in the world. They did an IPO about a year ago. And what they did was they noticed that when you bleach your hair or you do a permanent or you dye your hair, you're breaking the bonds inside the hair. So they created a new molecule that prevents most of the damage caused by the hair dye. So in our case, we're working with another group out of Milan, Italy, that's made their own version of Plex. So again, you would mix this in with the hair dye and it prevents most of the damage. And in our case, it's still relatively new in Japan with salons, and we'll be the first to do it for home use in Japan. And this will give you a picture of each hair color set will have two tubes. One is the color and the other is the oxidant or developer. This page, I won't go through the details, but as I've said, we've de-risked the brand before launch. And in the last few months in Japan, we've done a soft launch. So at the top of the page, I list our contract manufacturers. In particular, we have Nika in Japan, and Kimon and HSA in Italy. We set up the logistics, the e-commerce. We started doing some posting on Instagram, trying out key opinion leaders. In November, we had an event. We had 3 speakers, invited about 200 women, mostly women, some men. And this included customers and KOLs and some media. We've done things like get our licensing for Japan, including quasi-drug, trademarks in certain markets. We produced our inventory, and now we're raising our pre-seed 3 round. Just give you a feeling for the brand, the kind of look and feel. On this page, what I'd like to highlight is, although we didn't win, we were nominated for a Sustainable Cosmetic Award in Japan. And that was in particular for the hair treatment. So that will really help us both in terms of building brand awareness, PR in the media. Certain retailers will ask if they can sell our brand. This is the event poster for our event in November. And we had three speakers. One was actually a French woman who speaks fluent Japanese, and her business is kind of a confidence building coach, which fits in with one of the keywords of our brand. The woman in the center I picked because she owns her own skincare brand and kind of serves as an example of not only an expert in the field, but a woman who's successful with her business. And the one on the right works for a cosmetic review site, which in Japan is called Cosme, Kuchikome, or word of mouth. So they do cosmetic reviews. And her particular job is to focus on being vegan, SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. So it was a very successful event. I'll skip our backgrounds, but we are very well equipped to grow our brand and meet our sales goals. The money that we're going to use will last us this next year. The majority of it will be used for advertising and promotion. In addition, our first year sales goal, and I've actually lowered it to just $1 million for year one, that will generate a gross margin of about 75%. So we will be generating free cash. I mentioned in the beginning that we're going to try to do 10 to 15 markets with multiple categories. And of course, this is a projection or hypothetical, but it's possible I might even do that with Japan alone in the hair color. But again, we're going to try and do 10 plus markets. And I'm going to try and grow it from 0 to 60 million in 5 years. And my target is to get to about a 20% operating margin. And just as a rule of thumb in our business with cosmetics, even if brands are losing money, they don't usually value it on EBITDA. In the cosmetics for the last 20 or so years, typically it's a multiple of sales. And as a rule of thumb, 5 times sales. So if we get to 60 million in 5 years, the company might be worth $300 million. And I just mentioned at the bottom as a footnote, there are, for the D2C hair color, 2 success cases in the US, one of which is now a unicorn. The other was they sold half the company to Henkel out of Germany. And then we do have one competitor here in Japan, which serves as a proof of concept. But they're going after order-made or custom color. We, like Madison Reed, are going after pre-made, which is less capital intensive, easier to scale. On this page, I want to give you an idea. So when I say I want to go to 60 million, what does that mean? Well, the Japan market alone, in total, all products, is about $40 billion. Our year 5 figure of 60 million is actually close to 0, but I put less than 1% you can just lock in your mind what that means. And even if, for example, we were to get 1% of the Japan home hair color market, that alone would generate $60 million. I mentioned at the bottom China and the US, which are the number 1 and 2 markets in the world. They're each at about 100 billion. So this will give you a feeling of what it would take for us to grow to 60 million in 5 years, which is my first kind of long-term target. That would be basically a tiny slice of several markets. So that's my introduction to the brand.